Alright, so this is my presentation for technical communications, the final oral presentation, and it's related to the rest of my papers. So, we're going to be talking about the current field marketing systems used in the insurance industry, which I guess as a quick run-up to explain them, basically the general go-to method is companies, brokerages, which is where I work in the field, buy leads from marketing consultant firms or marketing lead brokers or just marketing companies in general, and then use those leads to make sales to clients. So my goal here is to present an alternative to that I believe will increase profitability and return on investment for the brokerages. So today we're going to talk about a little bit more detail about our current marketing system, why I believe that brokerages should change, one of my proposed solutions for a alternative system, and what the financial costs of that change would be, or an estimate of what those financial costs could be. So I guess just to go more in depth in the current marketing system. So how it typically works is marketing companies will buy data from data collection companies, which will collect that data through surveys, advertisements, social media, or to name the big ones. And then those companies will buy that. From there, they send out often these little flyers, which are they're like a little postcard almost like this. And they fill them out. They send them back to the marketing companies, these potential clients, and then the marketing company will sell those postcards, which have information like who their current carrier is, how much they pay, how old they are, where they live, stuff like that. And we're going to go a little more in depth, but those are relatively expensive. So the current lead generating system right here, I have a screen capture from a relatively prominent lead generating company called Next Gen Leads. They're pretty well known in the industry for being one of the higher quality options. And so here there are three options. You can see them. This is $8 per lead, these are called shared leads, which are bought and sold to multiple companies, so they don't have the highest returns. Exclusive leads, they're the same thing as shared leads, except they want to sell them to one company instead of 3 to 4, maybe even 5 on occasion. And then we have live transfers, which aren't really commonplace. Nobody is using them to my knowledge on a regular basis. But what those are is they actually will call people, and if they have a potential transfer, they will, or a potential sale, they actually transfer them to an agent working for the brokerage. These are considered the best, but they're very expensive, and you have to be skilled to be able to sell on them. And so then up here, we can look, the average cost is $8 to $50. $50 for the leads is going to be something like live transfers, or with really high sales rates, but 12 to 16 is a pretty common average for quality mailing leads like what we talked about earlier, which are what my company uses the most and probably the most often they use in the industry. So once again, we talked about the max close rate that these companies are able to get with the leads that they're currently providing are 50%, and that's from a very skilled agent. And so top quality here is going to be very expensive. 50, like we talked about in the last slide, $40 for the transfer calls, but they can get to $50 plus on occasion. And then I pulled from HubSpot this chart here, which HubSpot's a CRM, and a CRM is a client relationship management software is essentially what it is. And so that's where all leads are stored, where leads get imported to. You can record the results of each one. That way you can collect data that will be used to improve your marketing campaign. In the average turnover rate in the industry for insurance brokerages, for Medicare insurance brokerages, is 14%. And down here we have a link if you want to check that out. It compares it to several other industries, but that's not really relevant to what we're talking about today. And then one of my biggest gripes with the current method is it only utilizes advertising. It utilizes is us communicating with the client. It doesn't generate as much word of mouth marketing, and it doesn't really create a positive presence in our community. And so I pulled this graph here from the Nielsen Global Survey, who's a marketing survey company, or just a the data they collect is usually used for marketing, but they send out surveys across the world. And so here we can see that the highest or most trusted form of information that somebody gets about a company, according to this survey, is from people they know or in opinions posted online. And then we can see editorial content such as newspaper articles. So basically, as a whole, we can agree from this, or we can concur from this, that the most important information they receive is going to be from other people not affiliated with the company, which should be obvious, but if you look here, you see 92% of people trust or somewhat trust recommendation from people they know versus just 50% for emails they signed up for, 58% for branded websites, which is quite a big gap. So then my solution here that we're going to talk about for a presented solution, it's just one of them, are doing seminars where we invite members of the community so we can buy the data to start from data companies. And so then what we do is we take the job of what the marketing company does, send out flyers or the cards that we talked about, and try to run seminars at local venues with like a meal. That way we have time to communicate with each person attending. It's a little bit more labor intensive, and I believe it will raise the cost of leads on average to maybe $40, $50 a lead, but overall I believe we'll see a return on investment increase, which we should take with a grain of salt, because just a return on investment increase doesn't always mean more profit, because depending on how much labor you need to put into that return, it might lack scalability compared to other methods. And so I guess one of the biggest benefits of this is we're going to have more money per lead, and so we're gonna have more money made per lead, is my belief personally, because the leads are going to be higher quality and have a higher close rate. Cheaper than equivalent quality leads. So we talked about the $40 leads for the live transfers. I believe that these are going to have higher close rates than that, and anything higher than that, anything better than those, are typically running well above $50. It's going to increase our presence in the community, which will create more word-of-mouth marketing, which we talked about is very important in the industry, especially in an industry like financial services, where some people can be very skeptical of companies. And then as people have good reviews, either online or just in person, it will result in more sales as people might approach us, and then it's just really just a continuing web, because one person recommends to their friend, who then recommends to others. And then our overall community image improves, which is going to create more opportunities for the company as a whole, maybe to expand into other markets, or even just increase the likelihood of success when trying to make a sale or whatever. It's just going to be a net positive gain in most categories. So here I have a sample budget drawn up, which this budget is going to depend entirely on location, the venue you choose, how much the company is charging in particular, for food or in the venue. And then I just threw out a marketing number based on numbers I've seen for similar campaigns. So the top one, consulting for advertising up here, is going to be a one-time cost at the start, just to help design an advertising campaign. I do believe that cost will be worth it to get a well-designed campaign. And then these costs here are going to be per seminar, and I believe running them for 50 people will be an ideal amount. So we're looking at $1,000. That's for food for people. That's just $20 a person, $25 a person maybe, might go a little bit above that. Looking around central Vermont, you can find venues to rent for a couple hours for $500 is like an average, I'd say, for one that can seat 50 people. And then the running marketing campaign. So once the consultant has designed the campaign, we will need to obviously run the campaigns, which is going to have recurring costs. And then for talking about just wrapping this all up, I believe that the biggest benefits to a company are going to be the increased ROI. And I believe that these are not going to be more labor intensive than traditional leads, because they won't require as much effort to make an appointment off each lead. They'll have a higher success rate. So that will probably lead to increased scalability, which is where we get an overall increase in profit. So not only will we have a better return for our money, we'll be able to invest more money, which is a big plus. And it's going to improve our community image as long as it's run right and correctly, which I believe it will. And then as the community image improves, it's going to lead to more opportunities because more people are going to be interested in buying from us. And we'll have more opportunities for sales, maybe more business opportunities to enter other markets. And it could just provide opportunities outside of the current business, and connections and networking for employees. And I believe that's why we should go with this method. It's not something I've seen commonly used before, but I've heard talks about it. I've just yet to see somebody execute it. So I figured I'd throw it out on a paper for this class.